This right here was the peak of Sacksonville. A 10-point lead in the fourth quarter of the AFC Championship game. Everything after this went downhill. This is the fall of Sacksonville. Let's first take a step back to how the Jaguars got the name Sacksonville. The first really important pieces were brought in during the 2014 NFL Draft when the Jaguars would select quarterback Blake Bortles with the third overall selection, Marquise Lee in the second round, Allen Robinson in the third round, Aaron Colvin in the fourth, and Telvin Smith in the fifth. They would follow up this draft with a decent 2015 draft, adding Dante Fowler Jr. and TJ Yeldon. However, the biggest key to the entire team would come in the 2016 NFL Draft. The team would select Jalen Ramsey, a corner out of Florida State who would immediately become a top 5 corner in the entire league. On top of that, the team would draft 2 studs in Myles Jack and Yannick Ngakoue. The team would add defensive tackle Malik Jackson in that offseason to provide a better interior defense. The final pieces to this special team were drafted in 2017 when the team took running back Leonard Fournette in the first round and later on would take wide receiver D.D. Westbrook. The final touch to this already stacked defense was signing defensive end Calais Campbell before the 2017 season to create what would become the best defense in the league. In hindsight, this team looks really good and looks like they should have been favorites this season. However, entering the 2017 season, the Jaguars had been 11-37 in the 3 previous seasons, showing no signs of being a threat. The team's campaign began with a tough blow when Pro Bowl wide receiver Allen Robinson tore his ACL in a Week 1 win against the Houston Texans. Despite the huge injury, the team put on a show, winning 29-7, with the defense sacking Tom Savage and Deshaun Watson a combined 10 times while forcing 4 turnovers and adding a defensive score. The Jags would go on to finish the season 10-6 and finish second in defensive points allowed and first in sacks with an insane 55 team sacks. Key addition Calais Campbell had 14.5 and Yannick Ngakoue added 12 of his own. The offense was 5th in points scored with Bortles tossing 21 touchdowns and Fournette rushing for 1,000 yards in his rookie campaign. The team hosted a playoff game for the first time in a decade and put on a defensive clinic, beating the Bills 10-3, with Jalen Ramsey coming up with a game-ending pick to send the Jags to Pittsburgh. The Steelers had an elite offense that led them to a 13-3 record, with only the Patriots being ahead of them in the AFC. In an outlier, the Jags defense gave up 42 points, but somehow Blake Bortles led his offense to 45 points in a huge road upset win. The Jaguars had won 11 games in 3 seasons, and in 2017 they had now won 12 games with the date in New England to play for the Super Bowl. The swagger of this team really showed that week when Jalen Ramsey said the following.
I ain't got too much to say, but y'all make sure y'all bring that same energy out here next week and the week after. We going to the Super Bowl and we gonna win that bitch. We gonna win that bitch. Duval!
Jalen was nearly right. The Jaguars were up 20-10 in the fourth quarter, but 2 clutch Tom Brady drives led to the Pats being up 24-20 with just minutes to go. Bortles led the offense to about midfield, but couldn't convert a 4th down to ultimately end up losing the game 24-20. The Jaguars still seemed to be in good spirits. The core was young and coming back with playoff experience. Star wide receiver Allen Robinson decided to leave that offseason, but the team still felt good about the roster. 2018 came and the team looked good, winning Week 1 and then getting revenge on the Pats in Week 2 in convincing fashion. The team was 3-1 heading into the Week 5 matchup against the 4-0 Chiefs, and that's really when things turned. It was the top offense versus the top defense, and KC won 30-14, with Blake Bortles being absolutely atrocious. This loss started a 6-game losing streak that would not end until Week 13 when they shut out the Colts 6-0. The team finished 5-11 and things were bad. Players knew Blake Bortles wasn't good enough to take them to the playoffs consistently, which was frustrating considering the defense was still 4th in the league in 2018, while the offense fell all the way to 31st after being 5th the previous season. Malik Jackson would leave the team that offseason, along with Telvin Smith, who took the year off for personal reasons. The team would cut Bortles that offseason and trade for Super Bowl 52 MVP Nick Foles and sign him to a massive contract. Everyone thought Foles would get the Jaguars back to relevance and save the team from falling apart, but after he broke his collarbone in Week 1, things went to crap. It all fell apart after this. Jalen Ramsey got in a heated argument the next week with his head coach and demanded a trade. A few weeks later, he got traded out of Jacksonville. Although rookie quarterback Gardner Minshew was good in relief of Foles, the team went 6-10 and the organization blew the franchise up. In the 2020 offseason, the team traded Pro Bowlers A.J. Boye and Calais Campbell away, and even worse, Yannick Ngakoue demanded a trade out of town. Just like that, the team's 4 best defensive players were out the door just 2 years removed from being in the AFC title game. Nick Foles got traded as well as the Jaguars restart the franchise yet again.